We're back on the AM show. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for staying with us. We'll be getting into the news review shortly, but let me just let you know that it is brought to you kind courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, what are they offering you? Free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. You'd want to know what is going on with your body, right? And where can you locate Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic? Well, here in Accra, they are at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronum Abwehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takrade Anaji Estate in Community 22 in Tema. Then in Techiman, you can find them in Hanswa and Esiama in Nzema. Call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease, but only the start, the beginning of the news review. And I am joined by, I kept butchering his name and saying Samuel Lukutor. He's actually Maxwell Lukutor. He is a surveyor. Maxwell, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Great. Good to have you join the conversation this morning. Before we get into the papers, I'd like to find out from you, what has been your most topical story over the last week? I don't know. I'm just sensing that as a surveyor, maybe you may have taken quite an interest in the recent, tremors in our country, earth tremors, I mean, and again, the incident at Katia, that market going up in flames. I don't know, but you share with me what over the last week has really captivated your attention before we get into the papers.
Yeah, as a surveyor, I was glad to see my colleague surveyors giving national awards for their roles they played in the boundary dispute between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, and especially the members of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors, the role they played during the insurgence of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so I'm particularly happy that in every field of endeavor, once you play your roles very well, you will be recognized and given national awards. I was particularly pleased for my colleagues who won awards at the national level.
What did it mean to your association? What did it mean to you to see some of your colleagues bag those awards?
So like I said earlier, whatever you do as an individual, just do it to the highest degree and make sure that you bring out the best in you. And one day you'll be recognized by the powers that be. And so you don't have to look mean upon yourself wherever you are and whatever you do. I believe that everybody and every profession is very critical and needed for the growth of Ghana. And so no profession is bigger than the other in that sense. And so for everybody, it should not be a medical doctor, it should not be a lawyer, you be an engineer, you be a surveyor, you be a planner, you be a hydrological engineer, and any other field of study. You are key to the development of the country. And so just do your job well and make sure that you get to the pinnacle of it. And I'm sure you'll be recognized appropriately.
Awesome stuff. Let's get into the papers now. Thank you for those reflections, Maxwell. The Daily Graphic now. Missing excavators. Police probe Frimpong Boateng's allegations. And pictured there, DCOP Faustina Ejewa Kudria Ando Kofi, Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department. We also have Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting tomorrow, and NPA boss elected president of African Refiners Association. I guess some papers are now catching up because as early or as late as Friday, we had this information. I think maybe even the day before in some papers. But ECG begins exercise to recover 5.7 billion Ghana cedis in arrears. Imagine that, 5.7 billion Ghana cedis. And then demonstrate transparency on economy, Asante Hene to government. All right, let's start with some of those stories. And President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has directed the Ghana Police Service to commence investigations into allegations made by a former Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, concerning the engagement of some NPP bigwigs in illegal mining activities, popularly known as galamsey. The president gave the directive last week, and the Daily Graphic checks indicate that the Special Investigations Unit of the Criminal Investigations Department has commenced investigations into the matter. So what exactly happened? Professor Frimpong Boateng,
Yeah.
in a recent interview with the state broadcaster, the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, alleged that some officials of the ruling government were involved in Galamsey. He claimed that the alleged missing excavator story was used against him by his own party and other government officials involved in Galamsey as a weapon to remove him from office. He alleged that the loss of his position paved the way for some bigwigs in the ruling MPP to continue their Galamsey activities. The excavators were seized from Galamsey operators at various points across the country. This is really interesting because he's been there. He's been the minister in charge at a point in time, not lands and natural resources, but environment and all the others in the portfolio. We know how the story went with him. We saw the Charles Bissu incident, the secretary to that group. In recent times, we've seen the Ashanti regional chairman of the MPP mired in some trouble at contempt mining. What do you make, Maxwell, of this claim by the former minister?
It surprises me this issue still lingers on. And it looks like governance is being reduced to a charade. At one point, we play the game, go back, somebody makes some noise, we come back, and we claim to set up a committee, we set up an investigation, and all that. We go, and somebody is exonerated, and another time, another issue comes up. And it looks like we are not serious as a country. This issue keeps coming up, and then we keep just dancing around it. I thought that closure would have been brought to this issue so many years back, because this is not the first time we are hearing of it. Anas made the expose, Charles Bissu was mentioned, Frimpong Boateng was kind of also indicted, the son was mentioned, so many people were also called in, Untumi was mentioned, and you wouldn't see anything happening. At a point, as Bissu tried to exonerate himself, or the IGP or the police CID exonerated him, he came back strongly fighting to be recognized, and nothing happened afterwards. It's now that the minister has also made that comment again that we are going back to this same issue. Is the president saying this is the first time he's hearing of this? Is the land and forestry minister saying this is the first time they are hearing of this, and that they cannot bring closure to issues of this nature? It baffles me how we dance around some of these issues. It doesn't make us look very serious in the eyes of the Ghanaian populace. And like somebody said, we should be seeing governor, I'm sure Professor Jampo said, governor should be serious business, not people just trying to score political points. And I think that some of these things, people just want to do something to show to the populace that we are doing something, but in effect, they know what they are playing around with. And so for me, there are serious issues. This Achimota Forest issue, the former CEO of the Forestry Ministry, what's the name, Sir John, that issue also came up. We danced around the issue. Now I don't know what really is happening about it. And so for me, it's just a bag of mixed issues that we keep holding and not finding solution to them. I think that closure should be brought to some of this as soon as they come up. The presidency should be seen to be very serious, acting in issues of this nature. But I just always believe that they are dancing around the issues, and they seriously do not want solutions.
Is that to say, Maxwell, that
issues at hand? We should get serious. We should be more serious with issues.
Right. So you don't see the seriousness. And interestingly, as part of the interview, Professor Frimpong Boateng said, quote, "There was an orchestration within the party and the government to get me out. And when I left, Galamsey activities increased. Now things are coming up, and we know those who are doing Galamsey, even within the party and even people at the Jubilee House." How much of an indictment is that when he mentions the party, trying to single him out for blame, basically using him as a scapegoat, and then not only mentioning the party, but mentioning the executive, the leadership of the party, the Jubilee House, and that's the leadership of the country. How bad is that?
Benjamin, have you forgotten the party Yasika mantra? That's a serious matter. And I think that is the crux of the matter. those in the helm of affairs, I believe, are just looking for any and every means to make money out of every situation that comes our way. Especially this Galamsey menace. You realize that they will just talk about the issue and the next night dies, or they will form a committee, or they will form a task force, and they will operate for 1 month, 2 months. Soldiers will go, police will go, they will take videos of some activities. Before you see, they go behind the scene and you don't hear anything again. They will go after 1 year, they come back. Maybe the media raises the issue, or a minister like he's just done will raise the issue. Then all of us will wake up again and then run agog. After a little while, it is off and we are back. So for me, like I said, we are just dancing around these issues and buying time. As soon as time is over, it's dead and gone. But I believe that any serious government that comes hereafter, this one should go into some of these things and punish people who would have amassed a lot of wealth at the blind side of government. I think we should be serious. If not, these things will continue to happen, and it look at the extent to which it is affecting our water bodies, and that the Ghana Water Company keeps complaining that they have to buy more materials to be able to get our water to the level we expect them to be for us to get in our pipes. And so, for me, we waste money from the state, and some few individuals benefit directly. Look at the Akonta mining issue. How long did we talk about it? Was there any issue? Was it not the president who came to clear them? And for me, some of these things, I think that it's high time we just keep quiet about them and then move on. Because it looks like the government we have today is just not serious about this thing. It's not interested in tackling them. They only dance around it and move on. The most important thing for them is that they make the money anyhow. And so for me, it's nauseating, actually.
Just to wrap on this in a few seconds, what does this do for trust? Because the public must trust officials of state that they are working in their interest and that they are doing the right things. And secondly, on the back of this interview, a number of people and groups, including the minority in parliament, have called for investigations into the allegations made. What does this do for trust? And secondly, how much are you expecting from any investigations into these allegations? Are you even expectant?
No, as for this issue of trust, I'm sure most Ghanaians have thrown this to the dogs. And it's very few party fanatics who still support anything anybody does in the name of fighting Galamsey. But on a very serious note, most of the Ghanaians in the middle and those to the left who think that we are just not interested in doing this thing. Maybe those who benefit from it as party apparatchiks and then party members are the ones who will be hailing them that they are actually doing something. But the issue of trust is no longer there. The question is, when Parliament called for this bipartisan committee to investigate this, did they budge? Has the committee been formed? What have they done? What is the outcome? Who is liable? Who is to be punished? I think that we should get more serious as a country and get some of these things off our chest. The more we are seen not to be interested in investigating and punishing people, the more people are emboldened to do more. I saw in the news recently that some Galamseyers went to attack some bend their equipment and all those things, because they see that the people at the helm of affairs are actually party bigwigs who embolden them to go and do it and bring them their cash back and all those other things. So they know that whatever happens, none of them will be caught, none of them will be punished, because it's the big men, like the minister said, from the presidency, the ministers, and all those people who will be taking action are the ones that are involved in some of these things. And so for me, people at the grassroots are emboldened to do worse things. And so I am not sure we are really interested in fighting this menace. The president and the vice president and all the ministers are putting up all, they only make noise about these things. And at the end of the day, they go to sleep and we all follow snoring.
Let's get into some other stories very quickly. On page 16 of the paper, two interesting stories demonstrate transparency on economy, Asantehene to government. Transparency, truth basically, on the economy. And the Asantehene Otumfuose to the second has urged the government to demonstrate a high level of transparency with the citizenry on the economic situation of the country to win their trust and confidence. He said being candid with the people in these difficult times would produce outcomes that would be in the best interest of everyone and promote peace and development. But Right below that story, something that really caught my attention. Judge abandons post over threats on his life. I'm sure you remember that instance where some thugs,
yes, the Bogatanga, yes,
exactly,
Bogatanga.
raided a court and dragged out a judge of the court. So let's look at this. The Judicial Service of Ghana has recalled the acting supervising judge of the Upper East Region, Justice Alexander Graham, due to threats on his life. Justice Graham, who served at Bolgatanga High Court 2 last month, issued a warrant for the arrest of the overlord of the Mampugu traditional area, Na Mahami Abdullahi Sheriga, for skinning a rival Bokunaba. We remember that issue as well, and government's response. Barely a week ago, he also convicted 2 high-profile persons for contempt for attempting to bribe him. Following those crucial decisions, Justice Graham is said to have received calls threatening his life and attacks at his official residence. He therefore left Bolgatanga last Wednesday to protect his life after notifying his employer about the increased insecurity. What do you make of these 2 stories?
Yeah, Benjamin, you see, there's a coming very cast their shadows. From the onset or the inception of the MPP government, you realize these thugs who went to the court in Kumasi.
Exactly.
One of the,
exactly.
Yes. And so that's the beginning of it. You realize that they went in to attack somebody who was appointed, is it the BNI officer in Ashanti region, dragged him off his office, they were sent to court and all those things. When they went to court, what happened? They were just slapped on their shoulders that don't do it again. they were fined some paltry amount of money they pay. And so party people feel emboldened that whatever we do, nothing happens to us. You see Kennedy Adepo always supporting these tax and saying that government cannot do anything to them. And so these people believe that the courts are for them. And you see, a section of Ghanaians believe that the courts were packed with judges to do the bidding of one particular political party. And so when you go to court with your cases, you should not expect fair judgment once it's government versus you or something. So some other individuals also believe that they can buy the courts. And so once the court doesn't play to their favor, and also knowing that some people went on a rampage, attacked the court, and nothing really happened to them, they also felt that they could do whatever they have to do, and that's why they are emboldened enough to send threats to judges. But remember what happened in the Muntie 3. What did we see? But this time, we really don't see the courts and the judges to also be strong on their feet and then fight their way to make sure that the judiciary is not put on. And so for me, as a country, as a whole, it is time we begin to review and look at some of these things and say that if politics has become so bipartisan, NDC, MPP, what about our courts? What about our parliament? So, because these are the 3 arms of government, if the executive we cannot trust, like Asantehene is saying, I'm sure if there's an issue of trust, he wouldn't be saying that. So once he comes out to speak about the issue of trust, that people in governance, in leadership should be open and transparent with us as a people, it means that he's seen that there's something really wrong with us. That is why he could come out to speak like that. And so if the executive, we don't have trust for them, what about the judiciary? What about the other arm of government, which is the legislature? And so for me, we are derailing everything. What about the 4th arm, which is the media? Are we serious people? So for me, we need to have a complete overview about Ghana as a whole and begin to think right. You see people just make statements and nothing happens to them. The president will talk by this time, this will happen, and it doesn't happen. He doesn't come to apologize to anybody. The vice president will come and say everything he wishes to say and go scot-free. It doesn't happen, nothing happens. The minister of finance, the deputy won't go to IMF. We are a proud nation, we are this, we are that. So they make statements, and I think these days, if you hear them speak, nobody trusts them again. Did you hear the vice president saying some few weeks ago that they are going to share laptops to every student in the senior high schools? Is there anything being done about it? Is anybody taking him serious? Is anybody querying him? Or it is business as usual? You just open your mouth, say anything, and we all move. I think that nobody is taking his friend very serious again in Ghana. And I think that when we go on that trajectory very soon, it will be bad business for us.
Very quickly on this, since we're talking about justice and the effectiveness or efficiency of our courts, There's also that defamation suit that was filed by Anas Aremeyaw Anas against the Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejapong. And that latest ruling, we've all been talking about it. Today it was in the news. Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante of the CDD says for him, the dismissal of that defamation was inconsistent with the law, according to him. Suleiman Ibrahima, Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, believes the judge's ruling went beyond the facts of the established case. People have, proffered different ideas in respect of what happened, whether the justice of the court was right or he erred, of that Accra High Court. But what is your quick take on that matter in some 20 seconds, if you can?
Yeah, sure. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a street boy. But I will say that some of us saw this coming. You
did?
Didn't know and Nas would have to go to the... Yeah, I didn't really know why Nas wants to go to the court and get some kind of justice, because you are the very person who investigated most of these judges, high court judges, appeal court judges, and found them wanting, brought the video out, and everybody was down. And so I really did not expect him to go and get some good justice. I don't know whether I will be in contempt of the court, but I, as a street person, feel that there was no way they were going to grant him his wishes. And knowing who Kennedy Ejapong is, he could go to any length, and his connection with the presidency and what he says himself. You listen to
but you cannot assume, you cannot merely assume that because of his clout, he would want to, derail the process of the court. I mean, you cannot assume that just because he has power, he did anything to compromise the decision of the court. You cannot say that. If you hear some of the conversations that went on within the court process during cross-examination, he calling somebody a fool, stupid, a small boy, and all those things, and the judge will sit down there and listen to him and not do anything. And at the end of the day, the defamation suit that was really brought, the judge had to go beyond that and be talking about the criminality of what Anas did. Meanwhile, that is not in contention, baffles some of us. So he really, I don't know, the appeal, maybe because more people will be added on, some may find him favorable, but I really don't know what he wants to get. Yes, of course, he's a lawyer. He's trying the judicial system. And I pray that somebody finds reason with whatever he's filing. When I heard the act, I wasn't surprised, actually, because I knew that was what really was going to happen. Because this very man, Kennedy Ejapong, had a stint on the court. He insulted the judges. Nothing really happened to him, so I wasn't expecting anything different. This is the kind of system we are building for ourselves as a country. And I dare say that we are treading on dangerous grounds. All right.
Because even if the court will not be respected, then where else are we going to find solace? It's high time we tread back and then look at what's happening and tell ourselves that as a serious country, we need to do something about what is happening around us.
Right. Let's quickly get into some other stories. The Ghanaian Times newspaper now. Volta Lake tragedy. 5 die in boat disaster. Rescue team searches for more victims. And that's a very sad development there. We also have government commends media for Ghana Month programs. And we've been doing that right from our news bulletins early in the day and beyond. There's also President orders police probe into government officials' involvement in illegal mining claim. That's exactly what we've just been talking about. And there has been some reaction. There's also the talk about the ECG and how much it's owed. And then vote for someone with economic finance background. Dufour to NDC delegates. Let's look at the stories on pages 3 and 14. So 5 persons, including 3 children, are reported dead after the boat they were traveling on from Azizanya to Azizakpe in the Adan East district capsized on the Volta Lake last Saturday. The dead comprised of 2 female students, of 2 female adults, and 3 children were purportedly among 100 passengers traveling from Azizanya to attend a funeral at Azizakpe when the tragedy occurred. The unidentified bodies have since been taken to the mortuary, and scores of victims have been saved by a rescue team. The NADMO director of Adan East District, Mr. Ebenezer Tainate, confirmed the tragedy to the Ghanaian Times yesterday. This apparently occurred around 8:30 a.m. last Saturday. May their souls rest in peace. But on page 14, Government commends media for Ghana Month programs, and the government has commended the Ghanaian media for its dedication to developing Ghana-related content in celebration of Ghana's independence anniversary this month of March. Quote, the efforts of the media have not gone unnoticed, and the impact of the dedicated airtime to promoting Ghana and Ghanaian values has been exemplary. A statement from the Ministry of Information and signed by Sector Minister Kojo Nkrumah has said. Good call. But we wish it would be buttressed as well by treating journalists with respect. Sometimes you see the comments that are passed about the media, the same media that, exposes some of the bad things. You remember our expose on the Pandai district with a deficit of 7,000 desks. We brought that up and we got insults in return. But thanks be to God, at least our actions have yielded results. Any quick reactions to these two stories?
Yeah, sure. Incidentally, the death on the Volta River is close to me. That's my constituency, Agbebe, between Southcombe and Ada East. And so I think that even the rescued were brought to Agbebe, which is the last end of my constituency in Southcombe. Yeah, so it's unfortunate that some of these things continue to happen against rules and regulations. I hear the boat is supposed to be carrying just about 40 people, but invariably loaded over 60 people, between 60 to 100. That the backdrop of some desilting that is happening around the area in the name of
in fact, just to add, according to Mr. Tainati, it's not 60. It's supposed to take about 40 to 50. It was loaded with about 100 passengers.
Yes.
About 100.
Yes. So it is, first of all, negligence on the part of the boat owner and the rider, and also even the people who boarded the boat themselves. Are they not aware about the capacity of the boat? Why should you risk your life by being loaded to that extent? And at the backdrop of what is happening, there some dredging activities happening at Agbebe and its enclave, I am sure that we should dig deep into the issue and know whether it really had an effect on whatever has happened. Because I hear, because of the depth, the velocity of the waves there increased, and so, and with a little wind, it turned it around and then it capsized. And so I would wish that NADMO goes beyond just what we see with the eyes and see whether the dredging exercise that's happening around the place also have some effect on whatever transpired. My condolences to the bereaved family, and we pray and hope that we will take you from there. It's good that the boat owner or the rider has been arrested, and I'm sure the law is going to deal with him appropriately, because it's high time we kept in discipline in the system. Why would you load a boat over 100 people when you know that it's supposed to load just between 40 and 50? It's negligence, and it's to the highest degree. We should avoid some of these things. These are some of the things we do at our small levels and then cause problems for a lot more of the people. Look at those little ones who have lost their life, and the women as well. They may be the people that people look up to in their family, their breadwinners, or the community. What happens to the people they are leaving behind? Right. And so I'm sure that we should be able to keep some of these things to the highest. Now, about the Ghana Month series, yes, of course, I need to commend media for the good show you have put across throughout the month. And I'm sure you can see me properly repping the Ghana Month with my fugu and my cap. I have beaten you to it this morning.
Well, so I'm also in my African bit, just not fugu today.
The Africanness is not too good today. I have beaten you to it.
Okay.
Let's
let's see. I'll bring you some stiff competition the next time I know you are coming on. But let's quickly look at a few stories so we can wrap the conversation. The Daily Guide this morning: 33 arrested over Golden Star attack. You were making mention of that.
Yes.
So 33 people have been arrested. The story is on page 6. And then Baumia storms Manshia with 90 MPs. I think those are the only news stories that we've not seen yet. But just to start from the international front, Vladimir Putin visits Russian-occupied Mariupol in Ukraine, almost in defiance of everything that is going on. You know, in recent times, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, put out an arrest, is seeking to arrest him, so to speak. And then, in terms of entertainment, some of us would know him. Actor Lance Reddick is dead. American actor Lance Reddick, known for his roles in major TV series like HBO's The Wire, Fox's Fringe, and films like John Wick, died of natural causes Friday morning. He is said to have Ghanaian blood, and I don't know whether it is this one or the one in, because there's one who acted in this Roman movie. I think it's Spartacus. I don't know whether it's the same person. I think he has a different name. But anyway, this one has passed on, and we commiserate with them. But quickly on to these stories so we can wrap the conversation. Let's go to page 6. 33 arrested over Golden Star attack. And the Western Regional Police Command has arrested 33 people in connection with the attack on Golden Star mines at Wassa Benso in the region. The suspected illegal miners were arrested on Friday, March 17, 2023, following their suspected involvement in the violent attack on the mining company's concession on Thursday, March 16, 2023. We brought you live images of that sometime last week, and you've started reacting to that already, Maxwell. But there's also this one on page 3. So it says, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's immense popularity in Kumasi. That's what it says. The Ashanti regional capital once again came to bear yesterday. This was when he stormed the Mansia Palace to join the Asante Hene Otumfuo II and the entire Asante man to mark the Akwesidai Festival, accompanied by his wife, Second Lady Samira Bawumia, the Second Lady thing. The vice president was dressed in an exquisite kente cloth. It goes on and on. Those two stories, and again, tied to that visit, let's unite Bawumia to Ashanti NPP. And maybe the paper I'll wrap with, the Finder newspaper. This week is crucial for $3 billion IMF bailout. That's according to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. But we've heard the minority say, I've heard the minority leader, Cassil Atoforsen, Dr. Atoforsen, say, we're not going to get a deal. We are not going to be able to scrape through by the end of March. That will go beyond March. Quick thoughts on any one of these stories, and it's a wrap.
Yeah, so of course, about this debt restructuring and whether we're going to get a bailout from IMF. I think that this is one of the few things that we will need our leadership to be candid to us on. Of course, nobody wants this country to go down, but we should be told the truth. I don't know what the benefit in raising our hopes and dashing it out completely at the end of the day. I believe that we are all studying what is happening, and of course, we are aware that apart from the Paris Club, we are waiting on the Chinese government to agree to a debt structuring or canceling our debt. And once that hasn't happened, how can we be so sure that we are going to get this deal at the end of this March? Well, yes, of course, that's their projection, but why don't we keep quiet and pray and hope that China finds reason with us and try to override our debt? Why do we want to go to town and make so much noise about it? Right. What happens if at the end of March it doesn't happen? Do we come back to say, oh, because of this and this and that? And so, like Atoforsen has said, I'm sure he studied the system and know what's happening, and so he's coming out with this. We only hope that all goes well for this country so that we don't go down. I hear the finance minister saying earlier that if that doesn't happen, maybe salaries will be difficult for government to pay salaries. We pray it doesn't happen, and so we get to a safe destination. We are not in very good times, yes.
Right.
So let's not continue to make noise about what happens around us. About the NPP and Bawumia and the fuss, the noise about it. Yes, there are a lot of political calculations going on that if he becomes the president, at the end of the day, he's definitely going to choose a vice from the Ashanti region or something. So that may be accounting for why there's so much clout around him at Ashanti. And so for me, it's one of those few calculations they do themselves within the NPP. Right. And whether they are being whipped in line to do what they are doing is another matter. But all they say at the end of the day, Ghana first.
Maxwell, thank you so much for your company with us this morning. We're grateful that you took the time to join us. Maxwell Lukutor is a surveyor, and he joined us for this conversation. Before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic aiding us to bring you the news review. We're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. Locate us here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade and Aji Estate is where you can locate us. In Tema, it's Community 22. There's also Techiman Hanswa and Esiaman Zima. Just reach us if you'd like to call 0244 867 068. Or alternatively, you could call 0274 234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. As we get into sports, curious scenes yesterday as Manchester United in that quarter-final clash with Fulham beat them. But it was interesting, quite a clash, with Willian getting red carded for that handball, so to speak. Some have disputed that. And how about Mitrovic? Well, all of that in sports coming up next.